Hey guys, Danny here today to talk to you about David Gemmell's book, Waylander the Slayer. Narrated, of course, by Sean Barrett, who does all of the narration that I've seen for David Gemmell's book, and I'm glad because I love his narration, and I hope all the rest of his books that I listen to are narrated by Sean Barrett. Anyhow, this is a book that has kind of two main threads running through it. You have the thread of Waylander and his life story coming at a point where you can actually like and empathize with him. Empathize with him. There we go. And anyhow, as you hear stories about him, you kind of come to realize that, had this story started like 10 years earlier, might not have liked and rooted for Waylander quite so much. He was just kind of someone that probably would have been perfectly okay with him dying. He's committed some pretty heinous acts in his lifetime, all for money. Now, there's a backstory to it, but it's a world where a lot of people have a backstory very similar to him, and they did not allow what happened to him happening to them to convert them into someone like him. So you meet him at a point where he commits an act of kindness just on a whim. After 20 years, he commits his first act of kindness. That act of kindness kind of snowballs and starts a chain of events where a little while later he commits a second act of kindness, kind of against his will. I mean, he fights it. It goes against his will. And this snowballs. And slowly, Waylander the Slayer goes from this complete, emotionless, heartless killer to this epic, heroic figure. And it does not, this is what I really like, it doesn't happen quickly. It happens slowly. And he fights it every step of the way. With David Gemmell's books, you get a lot of philosophizing thrown in. You'll have two soldiers talking to each other and they'll philosophize. You'll have the soldier, Waylander's internal thoughts as he philosophizes and thinks about things. It's all done in such a way that it does not slow down the story at all, which is wonderful. Oftentimes when authors try to do that, they end up really slowing the story down. This doesn't slow down the story. It just gives you a deeper glimpse into the character. It's very nicely done. But he ends up turning into this heroic, gallant figure. And along the way, he convinces some of his other scum unwittingly. He doesn't talk them into it, just through his example and through whom he's becoming. He convinces some other scum to convert and become heroic, truly likable people who you wish the best for in the afterlife, because they all end up dying. But one of the things about the people that follow his lead and convert with him, which I like, is they all have a self-awareness about themselves. They know, this is who I am. I am this. I am dishonest. My word isn't worth jack shit. I will sell out my mother for a penny. But they also have boundaries because they have this self-awareness of who they are. They have a self-awareness of who they are not. I am willing to sell my mother into slavery for a nickel, but I'm not willing to cross this line and do that kind of a thing. So when they follow Waylander's lead, it's believable that they would follow his lead, that he would have that influence on them, because they haven't totally given themselves over to the evil. Waylander was like that. Even when he was at his worst, he did have boundaries and things that he would not do, and he's never done that before, so he never would do it. The other story it follows is the battle at Dros Perdel, and the two have to time themselves out and work themselves out well, and they really do a good job of that. In fact, with the battle at Dras Perdal, there comes a point when you think, well, that's just going to be a lost cause and done for, and then events transpire. It's really nicely done. It's you have the characters that redeem themselves, that go from scum to heroic, but you also have characters that do not redeem themselves, and you've got one that you think has redeemed himself, and then you find out in the prologue he didn't. He was aware of who he was, and while you were led to believe that through that awareness of who he was, he had changed who he was, he didn't. He converted back to his old self. And you'll have to listen to the book to find out exactly who that is. Listen to the afterword of this book. In the afterword, David Gemmell explains the story behind the story, which oftentimes isn't all that interesting. But in this case, the story behind the story is actually really cool and really interesting. And it's not anything you'll be able to guess. Anyone who goes, oh yeah, I knew the story behind it, was this, that, and that. Yeah, they already knew that. They heard it somewhere else. They didn't guess it. That's complete malarkey. You could not guess the story behind this story. Listen, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you like my channel, please subscribe and turn on your notifications. You'll get notifications every time I post a new video. If you have any comments for me, put them in the comments. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Send them my way. But most importantly, and this is the most important thing, whether you like the video, whether you like my channel, whether you like me, whatever, make sure that today you listen to at least one good